everything. Walking into every room and feeling as though opportunity itself is drawn toward you. Imagine money, abundance, and success flowing into your life not by accident, everything, but because you've become the kind of person who naturally attracts it. This is not wishful thinking, and it's not reserved for a lucky few. It's about shifting your mindset, everything, your habits and your energy until wealth gravitates to you like a magnet. This audiobook is designed to turn you into that magnet. Not someday, not after years of struggle, everything, but starting from the very moment you choose to step into the lessons ahead. There is a moment in life when you realize that money is not just about numbers, everything. Not just about the balance in your bank account or the bills in your wallet. Money at its deepest level is energy, and energy always responds to the way you think, the way you believe, everything, and the way you carry yourself. The very first step in becoming a money magnet is not about opening a business, not about making an investment, everything, and not even about learning the mechanics of finance. It begins inside your mind, because your mind is the switch that turns the magnet on, everything. Think for a moment about the people you know who always seem to attract opportunity. It's as if life bends in their favor. They find themselves in the right place at the right time, everything, meeting the right people, saying yes to the right chances. And then there are others who, no matter how hard they try, feel like money slips through their fingers. Opportunities pass them by, everything, and setbacks keep repeating like an endless cycle. The difference isn't intelligence, it isn't luck, and it isn't talent. The difference is mindset, everything. Mindset is the lens through which you view the world. It is the silent voice that interprets every event, every obstacle, every possibility. If that voice has been programmed to expect lack, everything, to anticipate struggle, and to focus on limitations, then life will deliver exactly that. But if that voice is trained to look for abundance, to expect opportunities, everything, to believe that wealth and success are natural, then suddenly the magnet switches on and life begins to move in an entirely different direction, everything. Many of us have been raised in a culture of scarcity. From a young age, everything. We heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work twice as hard to get half as much, or people like us can't afford that. These statements, everything, repeated often enough, sink into the subconscious mind and become unquestioned truths. They form what I call scarcity programming, everything. Scarcity programming is like a virus quietly running in the background of your mind, shaping every decision and expectation. You may not even realize it's there, everything. But it dictates how much you allow yourself to receive, how confident you feel in asking for more, and how worthy you believe you are of abundance, everything. Picture a child who grows up hearing that money is always a struggle. That child, even as an adult, may carry the invisible weight of guilt every time they want something better, everything. They may sabotage opportunities because deep down they feel it's not for them. On the other hand, picture a child who grows up hearing that money is abundant, everything. That there is always more to go around, and that they are capable of creating it. That child enters adulthood with a completely different energy, an openness, everything, a belief that the world is filled with possibilities. Now, it doesn't take a psychologist to guess which one will be more magnetic to wealth. But here's the truth, everything, your past programming does not have to define your future reality. The brain is not fixed, it can be rewired. Your mindset is not concrete, it can be rebuilt, everything. The moment you become aware of the stories you've been telling yourself about money, you can start to change them. Awareness is the first step to freedom. Let me tell you a story, everything. A few years ago, I met a man who had been working for over a decade at the same company. He was competent, reliable, but he never asked for a raise, never pushed for more, everything, and lived paycheck to paycheck. When I asked him why, he said, "Well, I don't want to be greedy. I should be grateful for what I have." That statement, on the surface, sounds noble, everything. But beneath it was a scarcity mindset that said, there isn't enough to go around. If I take more, someone else loses. He carried that belief like a badge of honor, everything. But it was silently holding him back. When he finally realized that asking for more didn't take away from anyone else, that abundance could expand for everyone, something shifted, everything. He asked for a raise, and he got it. Then he started exploring side opportunities. Within 2 years, he had tripled his income. What changed? Not his skills, not his environment, his mindset, everything. The magnet is always in your hands. When you believe that you are worthy of more, when you expect more, when you open your mind to the possibility of abundance, everything, You create the conditions for wealth to be drawn toward you. It begins in thought, but it doesn't end there. Your thoughts shape your emotions fuel your actions, everything, and your actions create your reality. Every day, you are affirming something with your inner dialogue. When you say, everything, I'll never get ahead, you are programming your mind to look for evidence of that. And it will. You'll see bills, obstacles, rejections. But when you shift that statement to, everything, I am capable of creating wealth, your brain starts scanning for ways to prove it right. You notice opportunities, you become bolder in conversations, you carry yourself differently, everything. That small shift in thought begins a chain reaction. It's important to understand that the magnetic mindset is not about wishful thinking. It's not about sitting on your couch, everything, repeating affirmations while hoping the universe drops a suitcase of cash in your living room. The mindset is the foundation, not the finish line, everything. What it does is unlock the filter in your brain so that you begin to notice and act on what was invisible before. Opportunities were always around you. The difference is everything. With a scarcity mindset, you ignored them. With a magnetic mindset, you see them clearly. Think of it like tuning a radio. If you're on the wrong frequency, you can't hear the music, everything, no matter how loudly it's playing. But when you dial into the right station, the music is crystal clear. Money and opportunities are like that music. They are always out there, everything. Your mindset is the frequency. One exercise that helps is to look back at your current beliefs and ask, who told me this? If you believe money is evil, who told you that? Everything. If you believe you don't deserve to be rich, where did that belief come from? Often, you'll realize it came from someone who was struggling themselves, everything. Someone who inherited that belief from the generation before them. And here's the beautiful part, you have the power to break that chain. You can decide, right here, right now, everything, to adopt a new belief, to rewire your frequency. Another practical way to unlock the magnetic mindset is through gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance, everything. When you start your day noticing what you already have, you send a signal to your brain that says, I live in abundance. That state of mind makes you magnetic. Because people, everything, opportunities, and wealth are drawn to those who radiate appreciation and positivity. It's not just spiritual, it's psychological. People want to do business with higher, everything, and support those who carry a grateful, confident energy. I remember a young woman who started a small online store selling handmade jewelry. In the beginning, sales were slow, everything. She could have easily fallen into the mindset of, this isn't working, maybe I'm not cut out for this. But instead, she focused every day on gratitude, everything. She was grateful for each order, even if it was just one. She was grateful for the people who complimented her work, even if they didn't buy. That energy grew. People felt it in her posts, everything, in her messages, in her presence. Within a year, her store exploded with success. She became magnetic, not because she had the best product in the world, everything, but because her mindset attracted loyal supporters and opportunities she would have missed if she was focused only on lack. The magnetic mindset also requires letting go of fear, everything. Fear is the great repellent of wealth. Fear whispers that you might fail, that you're not good enough, that you shouldn't even try, everything. But fear is almost always a story your mind is making up, not a reflection of reality. Every successful person you admire has felt fear. The difference is everything. They didn't let it control their actions. They replaced it with faith, faith in themselves, faith in their vision, faith that opportunities would appear when they committed fully, everything. And time and again, that faith paid off. As you step into this journey, I want you to remember this truth: money is not running away from you, everything. Money is waiting for you to open the switch in your mind that says, I am ready. The scarcity stories you've carried are not permanent. They are just stories. And you, right now, everything, hold the pen that can write new ones. The magnetic mindset is about choosing new thoughts daily, building new beliefs consistently, and carrying an energy of openness wherever you go. Everything. When you do, you will notice a subtle but powerful shift. People will respond to you differently. Opportunities will present themselves, everything. Wealth will begin to flow in ways you couldn't have imagined, and you'll realize it wasn't luck, it wasn't chance, it wasn't even hard labor, everything. It was you, rewiring your mind to become magnetic. There's a reason why some people seem to walk through life as if doors open before they even touch the handle, everything, while others struggle endlessly just to find a crack in the wall. It's not luck, though we often call it that. It's not always privilege or background, although those can play their role. Everything. It is something deeper, more universal, and it works the same way gravity does. It pulls or it repels, whether you realize it or not. I am talking about the laws of attraction, everything, the invisible principles that govern money flow. And once you see them clearly, you can stop wondering why wealth seems so easy for some and so elusive for others. Everything. You can start to participate in the flow, not fight against it. Think for a moment about a magnet. It does not chase the metal. Everything. It doesn't plead with the nails or screws on the table to come closer. It simply is. Its energy field either attracts or it doesn't. Money operates in a very similar way. Opportunities, everything, resources, investors, jobs, business ideas, they all gravitate towards certain people and away from others. The question is not whether money is available. It is. The question is everything. What are you radiating? Are you aligned with the current that draws wealth in, or are you unknowingly repelling it? Many people unknowingly repel it. Let me give you an example. Everything. I once knew a man who had incredible skill in his work. He was talented, intelligent, and he worked harder than almost anyone I knew. But he always carried the energy of desperation with him. Everything. When he spoke to potential clients, you could feel it. His words might have been professional, but his energy was screaming, "I need this deal. Please say yes." And people pulled back. Everything. They couldn't explain why, but something about him made them hesitate. He thought he had bad luck. In reality, he was broadcasting scarcity. He was aligned with lack. Everything. And lack was exactly what kept coming back to him. Contrast that with another friend of mine, a woman who had just as many challenges in her past. She didn't grow up wealthy. Everything. She didn't have connections. But she walked into every room with an energy of calm assurance, as if she knew that opportunities would eventually find her. She wasn't desperate. Everything she wasn't chasing. She was aligned, and slowly, but surely, people gravitated toward her. Clients trusted her. Colleagues wanted to work with her. Investors believed in her ideas. Everything. The money flow didn't come all at once, but once it began, it felt almost effortless. The difference wasn't skill or even effort. Everything. The difference was alignment with the laws of attraction. One of the first laws you must understand is that money amplifies what already exists in your mind and heart. Everything. If you live in a state of fear, scarcity, and resentment, then the flow of money will feel unpredictable, chaotic, and fleeting. But if you live in a state of possibility, gratitude, everything, and expansion, money naturally finds ways to multiply itself in your presence. You've probably seen it before. Someone who is already abundant seems to get more and more opportunities. Everything. While someone who is struggling seems to only face more struggle. Everything. It isn't because the universe is unfair. It's because both are attracting experiences that match their dominant vibration. Now, I know the word vibration can sound mystical or vague. Everything, so let's ground it in reality. Think of a radio. You cannot tune into a jazz station if you're broadcasting at the frequency of heavy metal. The stations don't hate you. Everything. They just don't match your signal. In the same way, money doesn't hate you. It simply flows along frequencies. If you are tuned into the frequency of lack, everything, you will constantly hear messages of not enough money, not enough time, not enough opportunities, and life will mirror that back to you. Everything. But if you shift to the frequency of abundance, you begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You begin to meet people you wouldn't have noticed before. Everything. You begin to receive ideas that would have slipped past you in a different state of mind. The money was always there. You just weren't tuned in. So how do you tune yourself? Everything. The first step is awareness. Notice the stories you tell yourself about money. Do you say things like, "Money is hard to come by," or "People like me don't get rich"? Everything. Or, "If I make money, I'll probably lose it anyway." These are not just thoughts. They are signals. They broadcast into the world and shape the way you move, speak, and act. Everything. They make you tighten up in conversations, hesitate when opportunities arrive, and sabotage good fortune when it finally shows up. To become magnetic, everything, you have to rewrite those inner broadcasts. Everything. Replace "money is hard" with "money flows to me in expected and unexpected ways." Replace "people like me don't get rich" with "people like me create wealth every single day." Replace "I'll probably lose it" with "I know how to grow and protect my wealth." At first, everything. It feels like you're just playing pretend. But the more you repeat these beliefs, the more your energy shifts, and the more the outside world starts to reflect your new signal back to you. Everything. The second step is gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful magnetic forces you can harness. Everything. Think about it. Would you feel excited to give more to someone who never appreciates what they already have? The universe operates the same way. When you deeply appreciate every dollar, everything, every opportunity, every bit of progress you've made, you signal that you are ready to hold more. Gratitude doesn't mean settling for less or ignoring your goals. Everything. It means recognizing that you are already in the flow, and by honoring it, you expand it. Everything. One practice I often recommend is to take a few minutes each day to write down what money has already allowed you to experience. It could be something as simple as the meal you ate, everything, the clothes you wear, or the shelter that keeps you safe. When you start to see money as a friend instead of an enemy, money begins to show up more often in your life. Everything. The third step is action aligned with belief. Attraction without action is fantasy. You can't sit on your couch repeating affirmations and expect wealth to break down your door. Everything. But when you combine inner alignment with outer movement, that's when the flow accelerates. Imagine you're planting seeds in a garden. Your mindset and energy prepare the soil. Everything. But your actions plant the seeds. If you prepare the soil beautifully but never plant anything, nothing grows. If you throw seeds into rocky, unprepared ground, nothing grows either. Everything. You need both. So once you start tuning into abundance, back it up with aligned action. This might mean starting a side business, investing a small amount regularly. Everything. Reaching out to a potential mentor or learning a new skill. Each action is like placing yourself in the pathway of money's current. Everything. The current is already flowing. You just have to step into it. Now, let me share a story of someone who did exactly this. Everything. A young man I coached once told me he had always believed he was destined to struggle. His parents had struggled, his grandparents had struggled, everything. And he thought poverty was simply his family's inheritance. But he was tired of the cycle. We worked first on shifting his mindset. Everything. Replacing, "I'm destined to struggle," with "I'm destined to break the cycle." Then, instead of complaining about what he didn't have, everything, he began expressing gratitude for every small thing. His daily meal, the roof over his head, even the library where he could access free books and knowledge. Slowly, his energy changed. Everything. He walked taller, he spoke with more certainty, and when an opportunity came up to work under a successful entrepreneur in his city, he said yes without hesitation. Everything. That one yes led to skills, connections, and eventually his own thriving business. Did it happen overnight? No. But once he aligned his energy and his actions, the flow began. Everything. What once seemed impossible became inevitable. That is how the laws of attraction and money flow operate. They are not magical tricks. They are universal principles. Everything. You get back what you broadcast. You amplify what you embody. And when you align your beliefs, your gratitude, and your actions, you stop repelling wealth and start drawing it in. Everything. Some people will still call it luck. Let them. You will know the truth. You will know that you have tapped into a current that was always there, waiting for you to notice. Everything. And once you step into that current, money stops being a mystery. It becomes predictable, natural, and even joyful. When most people hear the word habits, they think of small routines, everything. Brushing their teeth, checking their phone, drinking coffee. But habits are far more powerful than just daily motions. Habits are the invisible architecture of your life. Everything. They determine whether your days stack into a tower of growth or collapse into a pile of wasted time. And when it comes to wealth, everything. Habits are the exact mechanism that either pull money toward you like iron shavings to a magnet or repel it without you even realizing it. Mindset creates belief, yes, everything. But belief without action is like electricity without wiring. Powerful, but going nowhere. Habits are the wires. They direct your energy, your time, everything, your focus into channels that actually deliver results. Everything. That's why people who seem to attract wealth consistently are rarely just lucky. They've built habits that make their belief tangible. Think of it like this, everything. If you walk into a gym once and lift a dumbbell, nothing really changes. You don't walk out transformed. But if you build the habit of showing up day after day, everything, the results become inevitable. Your muscles grow, your body reshapes, your energy increases. Wealth works the same way, everything. You don't become a money magnet by doing one visualization or one bold action. You become a magnet by stacking habits that align with wealth until they become part of your identity. Everything. Let me tell you a story. A man once shared with me how he went from being constantly broke to building a business that paid him more in a month than he used to make in a year. At first, everything. He thought the change came from the big opportunities, the new client, the breakthrough deal, the bold decision. But when he looked back, he realized the real turning point had been tiny, everything. It was the day he decided to track every single dollar. That habit alone forced him to respect money. It taught him where he was leaking energy, where he was unconsciously giving wealth away, everything. And with that awareness, his decisions changed. He didn't sabotage himself with mindless spending. He didn't waste time on things that drained him. Everything. A simple habit became the doorway to wealth. That's the power we're talking about here. So what are the habits that make you magnetic? Let's start with clarity. Every day, everything. Even if it's just 5 minutes, create the habit of aligning your mind with abundance. Wealthy people, the ones who consistently attract success, do not start their mornings in chaos. Everything. They don't wake up and immediately drown in social media, news, and random distractions. They take control of their state before the world can take it away. Everything. One of the simplest ways to do this is through a practice I like to call wealth priming. Each morning, write down 3 things first. One thing you're deeply grateful for right now. Everything. Second, one financial goal that excites you, stated as if it's already real. And third, one tiny action you can take today to move closer to that goal. Do this daily. Everything. And you begin to wire your brain to scan for abundance instead of scarcity. It's not just a feel-good exercise. Neurologically, everything. Your brain filters reality based on what you repeatedly focus on. Priming it with gratitude and goals trains it to notice opportunities others overlook. Everything. Another habit that turns you magnetic is consistency in your money behaviors. People often assume that wealth is about massive, dramatic leaps. But the truth is, everything. Wealth is much more about compounding. It's the effect of repeated small actions over time. If you save a small percentage of everything that flows into your life, consistently, everything, you're programming yourself to hold onto wealth rather than push it away. Everything. I know someone who set up an automatic transfer so that 10% of every paycheck went directly into an investment account. At first, it was barely noticeable. But after a few years, everything. That account had grown into a powerful safety net, and opportunities started to present themselves. Investments, business moves, partnerships, everything. Because he had cultivated the habit of being prepared, the universe seemed to reward him with situations that required exactly that preparation. He had become magnetic not through force, everything, but through consistency. We can't talk about habits without addressing energy. Money, like people, is drawn to certain kinds of energy. If your daily habits keep you exhausted, negative, everything, and scattered, you push opportunities away without even realizing it. But if your habits replenish you, focus you, and raise your energy, people can feel it, everything. You've probably experienced this yourself, being around someone who radiates focus, positivity, and confidence. You naturally want to connect with them, everything. And when people want to connect with you, opportunities follow. So think carefully about your energy habits. Are you getting enough rest, moving your body, everything, feeding your mind with material that uplifts you? Or are you running on fumes, pouring caffeine over exhaustion, and feeding your mind a steady diet of negativity? One small shift, everything. Like dedicating 20 minutes each morning to movement. Whether it's exercise, stretching, or even a walk, can completely transform how magnetic you feel throughout the day. Everything. Another wealth habit is follow through. The world is full of people who start things and never finish. They chase a new idea, get excited, and then let it fade the moment it gets difficult. Everything. But the ones who attract wealth consistently have trained the muscle of follow through. They finish what they start, even if it means taking small, imperfect steps. Everything. When you build the habit of finishing, you become someone the world can trust. Clients trust you. Partners trust you. Money, in a way, trusts you. Imagine opportunities as living things. Everything. They don't want to go where they'll be abandoned. They want to flow to the person who will nurture them, grow them, bring them to life. Everything. That person is someone who has mastered the habit of follow through. Let's also talk about the habit of learning. Every wealthy person I've studied shares this in common. Everything. They are constant learners. Not casual learners, but intentional ones. They carve out time to feed their minds. A wealthy person might spend an hour a day reading, listening to audiobooks, everything, or seeking out mentors. Not because they have extra time lying around, but because they understand that the quality of their mind is the ceiling of their wealth. Everything. If your daily habit is to consume information that expands your vision, challenges your thinking, and exposes you to new possibilities, everything, you are programming yourself to attract ideas and insights that others miss. Think of learning as one of the most magnetic habits of all, because it keeps you in growth mode. Everything. Stagnation repels money. Growth attracts it. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You might say, I already know I should be doing these things. Everything. I've heard this before. But here's the truth: knowing is not the same as doing. The gap between information and transformation is habit. Everything. The difference between someone who dreams of wealth and someone who lives it isn't usually knowledge. It's the discipline of turning knowledge into consistent action. Everything. That's why the focus here is not on grand gestures, but on embedding rituals into your day that happen almost automatically. Because when something becomes a habit, everything, it no longer relies on willpower. It becomes who you are. Picture this: two people start their day. One wakes up late, rushes out the door, grabs their phone. Everything. Scrolls through endless negativity, complains about money, and spends impulsively. The other wakes up a little earlier, primes their mind with gratitude and goals. Everything. Invests a few minutes in learning, tracks their spending, and takes one small step toward their financial vision. Neither of them has experienced some massive breakthrough yet. Everything. But give them each a year, and their lives will look like they belong to two different species. One has become magnetic, the other has become resistant. That's how powerful habits are. Everything. The final habit I'll mention here is generosity. It may sound counterintuitive. How could giving money away make you magnetic to wealth? But here's the thing: money is energy. Everything. When you hold it too tightly out of fear, you communicate scarcity, and scarcity repels abundance. When you give, even in small ways, you affirm that you believe in flow. Everything. You believe more will come. That belief becomes action, that action becomes energy, and that energy becomes magnetic. I'm not talking about reckless giving that puts you in hardship. Everything. I'm talking about the habit of circulating wealth. Buy someone a coffee. Donate to a cause you care about. Support a friend's dream. Everything. Each act of generosity reinforces your identity as someone who lives in abundance. The habits that turn you into a magnet are not glamorous. They are not flashy. They are small, steady. Everything. Consistent choices. They are invisible to most people. But when practiced daily, they make you the kind of person opportunities are drawn to. Everything. Wealth begins to flow to you because you've aligned your beliefs with your actions, your energy with your intentions, your identity with your future. Everything. Habits are not just what you do, they are who you become, and who you become determines what you attract. There is something about certain people that you can't quite put your finger on. Everything. Yet you feel it the moment they walk into the room. It's not just how they dress, it's not just the words they speak. Everything. And it's not even about status or money already in their bank account. It's something deeper, almost invisible, yet undeniable. They radiate a presence, an energy. Everything. That pulls attention and opportunity toward them without forcing it. That, right there, is what we mean by wealth alignment through energy and presence. You see, everything. Money doesn't simply respond to action alone. It responds to vibration. When your inner state matches the abundance you seek. Everything. When you embody the confidence and gratitude of someone who already belongs in prosperity, the external world bends in your favor. Everything. Think back to a time when you met someone who immediately made you feel uplifted, safe, inspired, or intrigued. You may not remember their exact words, everything, but you remember how they made you feel. That's energy in action. Now think about someone who always seemed to complain, to carry tension, or to radiate lack. Everything. You couldn't wait to move away from them. That, too, is energy. Wealth, opportunities, and people operate on the same principle. If your energy radiates lack, desperation, or insecurity, everything, then money and opportunity pull away from you. But when your presence shines with confidence, gratitude, and openness, abundance leans toward you. It seeks you out, everything, almost as if you were a magnet for good fortune. The question becomes, how do you cultivate that kind of presence? The good news is, everything. This isn't some mysterious gift reserved for a select few. Presence is something you can build. Energy is something you can learn to align. Let me illustrate with a story. Everything. A young entrepreneur once attended a high-level networking event. He had just started his business, and by traditional measures, he was the least successful person in the room. Everything. He didn't have big numbers to boast about, no impressive investors backing him, no luxurious lifestyle to showcase. But what he did have was presence. He walked in with posture that said, "Everything. I belong here." He greeted people with genuine warmth, looked them in the eyes, listened with full attention, and spoke with a quiet but undeniable confidence. By the end of the evening, everything. People who were far wealthier and more connected than him wanted to partner with him. They didn't care about his limited track record. They cared about how he made them feel, seen, valued, everything, and inspired. Within a year, that young entrepreneur went from being nearly invisible to building a company worth millions. His energy created doors that strategy alone could not have opened. Everything. This story highlights a truth that most people underestimate. You don't have to wait until you're wealthy to radiate wealth. Everything. You don't have to wait until success arrives to project the energy of success. In fact, it's the opposite. You embody that energy now, and wealth begins to show up. Everything. This is what alignment is all about. You shift your energy to match the reality you want to create. Now let's talk about confidence. Everything. Because confidence is one of the most magnetic forces you can ever carry. True confidence doesn't scream or boast. It doesn't need to prove itself. Everything. It's not about arrogance or pretending. Real confidence is quiet certainty. It's the calm inner knowing that says, "I trust myself." Everything. I trust that I can handle whatever comes. Think about the people you naturally respect. More often than not, they carry this quiet assurance, and it draws you in. Everything. Money responds the same way. Opportunities are attracted to the people who trust themselves enough to act boldly, to take risks, and to show up fully. Everything. But how do you build confidence when maybe you don't feel it yet? Start small. Confidence is built like a muscle. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how tiny, you grow it. Everything. If you say you'll wake up at 7 and you do, you're building confidence. If you say you'll save a small portion of your income and you follow through, you're building confidence. Everything. Every action that proves you can trust yourself adds to that quiet inner certainty. Over time, it compounds, and soon, everything. You radiate a presence that others can feel without you even saying a word. Gratitude is the second pillar of energy alignment. Everything. Gratitude changes everything because it shifts you from a state of lack into a state of abundance right now. Most people live in a constant chase, saying, "Everything. I'll feel grateful when I make more money, when I buy the car, when I live in the house." But that keeps them locked in scarcity. Gratitude flips the switch. It says, "Everything. I already have enough. I am already rich in so many ways." And when you live in that frequency, more flows toward you. Imagine two people interviewing for the same opportunity. Everything. One radiates desperation because they feel they need the job to finally be okay. The other radiates gratitude because they already feel blessed and whole. Everything. Which one do you think the employer, the investor, or the partner feels drawn to? Always the second. Everything. Gratitude multiplies wealth by attracting more to the person who already appreciates what they have. There's a powerful practice you can begin using immediately. Each morning. Everything. Write down 3 things you're grateful for, not just things you own, but experiences, relationships, even challenges that have grown you. As you do this daily, your energy shifts. Everything. You stop approaching life as a beggar hoping for scraps and start approaching it as a creator already living in abundance. This shift is magnetic. People feel it. Money feels it. Everything. Then there's presence itself. Presence means being fully here. In today's world, most people are half present. They scroll on their phones while in conversation. Everything. They nod without truly listening. They speak without paying attention to their own words. This lack of presence pushes opportunity away because people don't feel valued around them. Everything. When you become truly present, it's like you light up a space, look someone in the eyes and really listen. Not just to respond, but to understand. Pause before you speak. Everything. Carry yourself as if every interaction matters. This doesn't just make you a better communicator, it makes you magnetic. Why? Because everyone is starved for presence. When you give it everything, people crave more of your energy, and with people comes opportunity, connection, and wealth. Let me give you an everyday example. Picture 2 salespeople. One is technically skilled, everything, knows every detail about the product, but is distracted and rushed when speaking with clients. The other might not know as much about the fine print, but they are fully present. They listen. Everything. They smile. They make the client feel important. Who do you think makes more sales? Time and again, it's the second one. Why? Because presence is more valuable than information. Everything. People don't just buy products. They buy energy. They buy trust. They buy the feeling of being understood. And that feeling is created through presence. Now combine confidence, gratitude, everything, and presence. When you walk into a room with quiet certainty, deep appreciation, and full attention, you radiate a frequency that is irresistible. People lean in without knowing why. Everything. They want to work with you, support you, open doors for you. And wealth responds the same way. It's not about luck. It's alignment. So let me challenge you. Before your next meeting, everything, interview, or even casual gathering, pause for a moment. Ground yourself. Remind yourself of 3 things you're deeply grateful for. Stand tall, shoulders back, breathing steady. Everything. Walk in with the quiet confidence that you are already enough. And once you're in conversation, give the gift of full presence. Do this consistently, everything, and watch how your life begins to change. Energy alignment is not about faking anything. It's not about pretending to be rich or putting on a show. It's about becoming so authentic, everything, so tuned into gratitude, and so secure in your own presence that wealth naturally gravitates toward you. It doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be begged for. It flows, everything, because you've become aligned with it. And here's the most beautiful part: this energy doesn't just attract money. It attracts everything you desire. Relationships become deeper, everything. Opportunities become richer. Life itself feels more abundant. You don't chase wealth. You embody it, and then it chases you, everything. There comes a point when the work you've done to rewire your thinking, to align your energy, and to shift your habits stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like who you are, everything. That's the moment when living as a money magnet is no longer a practice you have to remember. It's simply the way you move through the world. And that's exactly where we are now, everything. At the place where this transformation becomes a lifestyle. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Picture yourself walking into a networking event, a business meeting, everything, even a casual coffee shop. Instead of shrinking back or wondering if you belong, you feel an ease settle over you. Your shoulders are relaxed, your mind is calm, and your energy is clear, everything. People glance in your direction, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you exude something magnetic: confidence, calm, presence, everything. That's the essence of what living as a money magnet feels like. It's not about chasing, it's about attracting. It's not about begging, it's about allowing, everything. And it's not about forcing opportunities to happen. It's about recognizing that they naturally gravitate towards someone who radiates alignment. Think of a lighthouse, everything. A lighthouse doesn't run up and down the coast screaming to the ships that it exists. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply stands tall, shining its light, everything. And ships are drawn to it for guidance and safety. You are that lighthouse. When you've trained your mind and body to embody abundance, you don't need to convince people to work with you. Everything. Invest in you or trust you. They feel it. They sense your clarity. They sense that your energy is aligned with prosperity, and they move toward you. Now, here's the beautiful part. Everything. You already know the tools. You've built the foundation of the mindset, the habits, the daily rituals, and the awareness of your own energy. Everything. What we're doing now is weaving them together into a permanent fabric of your life so that you no longer have to switch into money magnet mode. It's simply your default state, everything. One of the most powerful ways to anchor this into your lifestyle is through identity. You've heard people say before that your identity shapes your destiny, everything. And it's true. When you see yourself as someone who struggles, who is always one step behind, your mind and body align with that reality, everything. But when your identity shifts to, I am a magnet for abundance, everything else shifts with it. You begin to act differently, speak differently, even walk differently. It's not fake, everything, it's alignment. It's stepping into the most natural version of yourself, the one that was waiting for you all along. Consider the story of a man named James. For years, James believed he was cursed when it came to money. Every time he made a little progress, something seemed to fall apart. Unexpected bills, broken down cars, missed opportunities, everything. He lived in a constant state of stress, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But when he started working on his inner world, everything began to change, everything. He stopped telling himself the story that he was unlucky and instead began affirming a new identity. I am someone who attracts opportunities with ease. At first it felt strange, everything, even false. But slowly, his actions started matching his belief. He networked with more confidence. He asked for raises without hesitation. He pursued ideas he once would have doubted. Everything. Within 2 years, James had tripled his income and moved into a home he once thought was beyond his reach. The circumstances changed, everything, yes, but the deeper truth was that James changed his identity and the world adjusted around him. Living as a money magnet for life requires this level of ownership, everything. It's not about what's happening out there, it's about who you choose to be in here. And once you claim that identity, you don't go back. You stop negotiating with smallness, everything. You stop living with a foot in scarcity and a foot in abundance. You choose abundance fully, and then you show up to the world as that person every single day, everything. Another way this lifestyle becomes natural is through the environments you create. You cannot embody abundance while constantly surrounding yourself with scarcity, driven conversations, everything, toxic influences or environments that keep you stuck in lack. Think about your circle, your surroundings, even the content you consume daily. Everything carries energy, everything. And when you live as a money magnet, you become intentional about the energy you allow into your life. If you want to hold wealth, you need to build an environment that supports wealth, everything. That might mean upgrading your friendships to include people who inspire you, curating your daily media diet to focus on growth, everything, or even simply organizing your space so that it reflects clarity and order. Your outer world reinforces your inner world, and together they lock you into a state of flow. Everything. I want you to notice something as well. When you embody this lifestyle, opportunities seem to appear out of nowhere. But in truth, everything. They were always there. You just weren't attuned to them before. It's like tuning a radio. If you're on the wrong frequency, the music is still playing, but you can't hear it. Everything. Once you tune to the right station, it feels like the music just started, but in reality, it was playing all along. The wealth, the opportunities, the connections. They're all out there, everything, right now. Living as a money magnet is about keeping yourself tuned to the frequency of abundance so you can hear the music, see the chances, and step into them naturally. Everything. Let's talk about consistency, because this is the glue that makes the lifestyle permanent. Everything. You don't become a money magnet because you had one great week of positive thinking or because you read one powerful book. You become it because, day after day, you choose alignment. Everything. It's in the way you start your mornings, the way you speak to yourself, the way you respond to setbacks. Everything. Living as a money magnet doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. Challenges will come. But the difference is you don't spiral into scarcity thinking when they arrive. Instead, everything. You respond from your new identity, asking, what's the opportunity here? Everything. How is this redirecting me towards something better? That's the mindset of someone who knows abundance is their natural state. Everything. Think about someone you admire who seems to always land on their feet. Maybe they lose a job, and within weeks, they've found an even better one. Maybe a business idea fails. Everything. But they pivot into something more successful than before. To the outside world, it looks like luck. But what's really happening is that their lifestyle, their mindset, everything, their energy are all trained to attract and recognize the next opening. They don't resist life, they flow with it. Everything. That is the ultimate power of being a magnet. You don't control everything, but you are always ready to receive. Gratitude is another cornerstone of this lifestyle. Everything. When you are deeply grateful for what you already have, you signal to life that you are ready for more. Scarcity says, I don't have enough. Abundance says, I have more than enough, everything. And I welcome what's next. Gratitude keeps you in that abundant state. I encourage you to make it part of your daily rhythm, not just as a practice, but as a way of living. Everything. Feel the gratitude when you pay your bills, because you had the means to cover them. Feel the gratitude when you receive even the smallest amount of money, because it's proof of flow. Everything. Feel the gratitude when opportunities show up, and they will, because gratitude magnifies the magnet. As this identity becomes your permanent state, you'll notice something else. Everything. You stop comparing yourself to others. You no longer look at someone else's success as a threat or a reminder of what you don't have. Instead, everything. You see it as evidence that abundance is possible, and you remind yourself that if it can happen for them, it can happen for you. This shift is profound. Everything. Because comparison is one of the strongest forms of scarcity thinking. But when you release it, you feel free. Free to celebrate others, free to stay in your own lane, everything. Free to attract what's meant for you without distraction. And so, living as a money magnet becomes less about doing and more about being. Everything. It's not about waking up every day and trying to prove yourself. It's about knowing who you are and letting life meet you at that level. It's about walking into every room, everything, every opportunity, every challenge with the calm confidence that abundance flows toward you. You don't need to chase it. You don't need to fear losing it. Everything. You only need to continue aligning with the truth that it is already yours.